There was a woman trying to rebuild her life. Her past felt like a house she no longer lived in, and now she stood on an empty piece of land, wondering where to start. The world offered endless tools for this kind of rebuilding. So she filled the quiet with the voices of others, listening to podcasts and reading books, collecting ideas and stories, sure that the right mix of thoughts would give her the answer. Everywhere she looked, people offered her seeds of change, kind words, helpful articles, heartfelt encouragement. But a seed's future isn't decided by the hand that throws it, but by the ground it lands on. Some landed on the hard path of her busy mornings, where the words were just more noise, forgotten in the rush. Some landed on the rocky soil of her heart, where past hurts made her guarded, and an offer of hope felt like a risk she couldn't take. And some landed on the thorny ground, where the weeds of worry and comparison choked any new life before it could grow. And then, sometimes, after all the rushing and pretending, there was a moment of quiet letting go. A pause. A breath. Something landed when she was simply ready. Not perfect. Not fixed. Just open. In those rare moments, the soil of her heart was soft and clear. The words didn't just inspire her for an afternoon. They landed, and they stayed. They took hold. They changed how she reacted to a stressful email. Not with panic, but with a pause. They changed how she saw herself. Not with judgment, but with kindness. The words became a part of her, slowly building the life she had been wanting. It was never about finding better words. The seeds had been good all along. It was always about the readiness of the soul to receive them. Same words, different ground. Jesus often taught using stories, painting pictures with words to show hidden truths about God's kingdom. One of his most famous stories begins with a farmer who went out to plant seeds. He threw the seeds everywhere with open-handed trust, as if every piece of ground deserved a chance. The seed itself was perfect, full of life. The sower and the seed were constant. The only thing that changed was the soil, the condition of our hearts. Some seeds fell on a hard path, like a distracted heart where truth can't get in. Others fell on rocky ground, a heart hardened by past pain. They sprout quickly, but with no deep roots. They wither under pressure. Some fell among thorns, a life so crowded with worries and desires that the good seed is choked out. And some fell on good soil. This was prepared ground, like a heart that is humble, open, and ready to receive. Jesus was showing that the state of our inner world decides what happens with everything that comes into it. Real growth isn't just about being exposed to the truth. It's about the quiet work of preparing the soil of your own heart, so when the good seed comes, it finds a home where it can grow strong. This old story feels super current. It reaches across hundreds of years to talk right to a very specific, very modern kind of hurt. It's for the person who feels like they've been doing everything right, but are met with a deep and unsettling quiet. It's for those who look at their lives and say, I've tried. I've really, truly tried. I've read the books. I've followed the steps. I've shown up when I didn't feel like it, holding on to the hope that my effort would be met with a response. I've prayed. I've sent up desperate whispered prayers in the dead of night and shouted them into the wind on lonely walks. I've filled journals with my hopes and my pleas, laying my heart bare. I've listened. I've carved out moments of stillness, waiting for a whisper, a sign, a feeling of peace or direction. I've searched for meaning in everyday things, hoping to find a thread of the divine. But nothing changes. The silence remains. The situation is the same. The ache in my soul is just as present as it was yesterday, and the day before that. In these moments, it's easy to think that God has gone quiet. But what if that's not the whole story? Maybe it's not that God stopped speaking. Maybe life has just been loud. So incredibly loud that we can no longer tell the difference between what's important and what's just noise. The divine whisper is drowned out by the roar of the world and the clamor of our own minds. Disappointment can make us tough. Past hurts and unanswered prayers can build a protective shell around our hearts, making us less open, less willing to be vulnerable again. Busyness can distract us. The endless to-do lists, the constant notifications, the pressure to perform and produce, they keep our minds busy and our spirits running on empty. And fear can choke us. Fear of the future, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of being left behind. It creates a static of anxiety that makes it impossible to hear a gentle, reassuring voice. And sometimes, in the midst of all this noise, we blame ourselves. We look at the silence and call it our own personal failure. But what if we could see this time differently? What if it's not failure at all, but growth? A farmer knows that not all seasons are for planting. Some seasons are for getting the soil ready. They are for pulling weeds, turning the earth, adding good stuff, and letting the ground rest. This work is quiet, unseen, and often feels like nothing is happening. But without it, no seed could ever grow. Maybe this season of silence isn't an empty space, but a preparation, a tilling of the soil of your soul. It is a sacred, necessary, and foundational work, creating the fertile ground for what is to come. Here's the quiet truth. Good soil isn't born, it's grown. You can get rid of things that bother you. You can take care of hurts. You can make room again. God is still planting seeds, still waiting, still giving a lot. And when the ground is ready, even a small seed can change everything. Don't let what didn't grow yesterday make you think about your future. Instead, focus on the ground today. Because when your heart is open, growth doesn't just happen, it grows a lot, really fast. Before you go, if this helped, please subscribe, like, and drop a comment with your takeaway. It really supports the channel.